From my perspective, when it comes specifically to Domino's, I consider Domino's as being the originators, in a sense, of even the dark kitchen concept. I mean, the company obviously founded in 1960s. Initially started with the concept with the a focus on home delivery. And through entire lifetime of the business, right up to, I will say, about 1990s, the concept was actually to be in the back alleys, not be very visible, and be able to actually cover a delivery area. And that's where the journey started, and took us till 1990s. And then after that, the focus of the business became both delivery and takeaway, and that's when we started building more stores which are visible. The expansion was both for main stores in the main streets as well as the back alleys. And I think now, especially since 2020, with the outset of COVID, the focus is back onto the delivery business. And I think, it's here to stay. At Domino's, of course, we believe that we were built for delivery, so we were well positioned, to cater to our customers during the pandemic throughout the world. And we were able to do that. So from my perspective, the dark kitchens concept definitely looks like it's in the main foray these days, because of the deliveries in big demand. Delivery will always be in demand, as it has been, and I can see that it will always go up. But regarding the benefits of dark kitchen in perspective, when you say that it's totally a invisible store, that's where I have my doubts a bit.
I guess if I can take a step back, I think for dark kitchens in general, non-physical presence or consumer-facing front, I think is going to, our belief is that this will be part of the F&B or food and beverage landscape. Right, just like e-commerce back in 2000, early 2000s, originally transitioning retail from brick and mortar to online. There was definitely a set of challenges getting kind of up to critical mass, as well as building out the complementary kind of auxiliary infrastructure, including the logistics or the online advertising platforms. I think dark kitchens are definitely going to be part of the landscape. Our delivery, I think, regardless of whether it be F&B or commerce or other sort of services, is obviously maturing as well. So I think, the dark kitchen or dark kitchen only is definitely is not going away. It's kind of my point. Now, regarding what sorts of food that are deliverable, I think, like Michelle mentioned earlier, Domino's pizza obviously is very deliverable. Rice, pasta, believe it or not, soup is our second highest seller, or noodle soup. That works well. Believe it or not, it holds up better than most other foods, especially fried foods. Like you said, burgers or fries sometimes don't transport as well. But soups do well, pastas, rice, cauliflower rice. There's different types of, I want to say, carb substitutes that do very well. I think in general, and it's our belief that there's definitely a fair amount or a significant part of the F&B categories, food categories that deliver well, and especially if you're handled correctly, packaged correctly, completely stands up to kind of delivery challenges that the drivers put the packages through. So I think I guess I'll answer this. Depending on the region and geography of the operator, it definitely seems to be at different levels. In Asia, I've seen a lot more packaging, and this is common, off-the-shelf packaging, really kind of innovated by the packaging manufacturers that separate out either the curry or the noodles or the pasta from the main dish that do very well. In the US, it's interesting. I don't think, and I haven't seen as much innovation, at least in that regard. A lot of the delivery seems a lot more, I want to say, complacent maybe, or mundane.
Or plain vanilla package.
Yeah, a little more plain, right? And definitely not as innovative as some of the kind of different cuisine types that we've seen here in Asia.
Very good and interesting topic these days to discuss, right? What's happening in food tech, what's happening in automation. So a quick background on why we are able to do automation and how we got here, right? So we were a QSR. I had 2 to 3 outlets back in 2015 and 2016, had the big dream to build the McDonald's or the Domino's of Indian food. That's every entrepreneur's dream, to become big, open thousands of outlets. We had 2, 3, 4 outlets. From the 5th outlet, we were not able to maintain consistency. We had issues like attrition. We had people coming to me and saying, you know what, your outlet there tastes good, your outlet here is not good. That's when we said, hey, this is not working, and this is not really scaling up and not making money, because we were bootstrapped. We wanted to dhanda, right? We wanted to do real business there. And it was becoming very difficult for us to run our outlet. And that's when me and my co-founder thought, hey, let's build a machine. Let's make a machine that makes food automatically for our own outlets. So we started with a very basic product called Dosa-matic. It's a tabletop dosa making machine. You press a button, the machine makes a dosa. And it came out very well. Once we built that machine, many restaurants started approaching us saying that, hey, can you sell this machine to us? I have the same problems. I have attrition. I'm not able to make big profits. My space constraints are there. Pilferage is there, so on and so forth. So we said, okay, let's pivot our business. Let's start selling dosa machines to outlets. And that's how our whole journey into automation started. And over the period of time, we realized globally there are a lot of players in automation. But what we were able to see was the cost of that automation was incredibly high, was not creating an ROI. And that's when we thought, okay, let's build cuisine-specific machines to make food automatically. So we took up 3 to 4 large cuisines that are, that cover 75–80% of the business. So we have a machine that makes all your fried food automatically, that like your samosas, your tikkis, your French fries, your pakoras, and stuff like that. We made a machine that makes all your Asian food, right? Noodles, fried rice, all that stuff automatically. Then we built a machine that's Woki. Then we built a machine that's Rico, that cooks your rice, noodles, and stuff like that. So we have built cuisine-specific machines where, say you're an entrepreneur and you want to open an outlet and you want to run 5 to 6 brands. And that's where you come in and you put 3 to 4 machines, 1 or 2 guys in a kitchen, and run this perfectly. Now, is this something futuristic? Is it happening today, or is it ROI friendly? So I think we have about 4,000 odd machines that we have deployed across the field. And the biggest pain point that we are solving with automation, which is a very industry critical problem, is finding people to cook is difficult. And bigger than that, say you're an entrepreneur and you built a nice product, you made a mobile phone, or you built a watch. For you to replicate that fantastic product is very easy. You go to a factory and replicate it. But when it comes to food, replicating that fantastic food your chef made at various outlets across multiple locations is a challenge. And that's where automation is really helping. That, okay, how do I de-skill when making a food? If I'm making a noodles, how do I make noodles with a guy at the same consistency of quality at 2, 3, 4, 5 of my locations? So when we are working with brands, we're working with Domino's India, we're working with Swiggy Cloud Kitchens, we're working with Rebel, we're working with a whole lot of people. But where the impact is really getting created is the standalone outlets, is the 2 to 3 outlets where they are in it for a profit. They want to get ROI out of their business. And that's where automation is really helping. And not only in India, but globally, we are seeing that NPS score, customer scores when food, like you go to Zomato, you go to various channels, and you see that scores are reducing as the number of outlets are increasing. And that's where automation is coming and going back. And we have data to show that once automation got implemented, your customer score went up. your chefs, the food which a chef made in your culinary innovation lab or your central kitchen is getting replicated across various outlets, and you're able to save money. You're getting an ROI in about 6 to 7 months. You're saving money on oil, you're saving money on electricity, you're saving money on various aspects. And that's a true automation that really will help, especially cloud kitchens where you need smaller footprints, where you want to run tighter operations, you need to give quick food, you have margins are low. And that's where automation is really helping outlets to create an impact in this highly competitive space that is cloud kitchens today.
Thanks. That's actually a very great and insightful, question. What I believe, Sudarshan, is that that at the end of the day, the central party to whether it's a dark kitchen or not is the customer. And ultimately, you have customers who are, let's say, mostly delivery dependent versus customers who are probably not. Just taking 2 steps behind, this is the COVID period, but research maybe 2 years just before the COVID period stated that customers like to see what is being cooked for them, and that's when you had a whole lot of concepts turning their back kitchens into front kitchens because customers would like to see what is being prepared for them. This was again backed with the proper research with most of the bigger organizations did at that time.
Sorry,
yeah.
sorry, one thing. But wouldn't that be more applicable for consumers who are walking into a store to collect their food? Will that be really applicable for consumers who are ordering through any of those food delivery platforms?
Yeah, what I believe, Sudarshan, is that any consumer at some point is choosing a brand based on what he believes is fitting to their needs, right? Even if there is a customer who's ordering on delivery, at the end of the day, there is a brand that the customer is trusting in. Obviously when you talk about brands, it starts, let's say, backwards from the taste of the food to the packaging it came in, and back to how it was prepared and where it was prepared. When it comes to how and where it was prepared is something which is like the dark part of the whole equation. And there would be, I believe, a lot of customers who are not possibly sure of how it is done, because all it takes is one bad experience for a food which I ordered online to say that it was not good, and my belief on that brand goes away. Whereas I believe that if there is a face attached to the name, in a way, has a little bit of a different impact on the consumer. At the end of the day, I don't think it is one versus the other, but what I certainly believe is that though delivery is here to stay, it will go on. At the end of the day, building a brand for a physical store like ours, for a company like ours or a brand like ours, starts from the physical infrastructure of the store to the uniform of the drivers, to the image we create through our packaging, and finally, the taste of the food. Whereas for dark kitchens, certainly, there are the scope of building that brand is limited to those 2 and 3 items. And that's why I'm saying, like, it's a little difficult to do.
So I think generally on the topic of brands, let's hear, I think everyone agrees there's definitely brand value. I think the only question is how much brand value. And I think it depends on what's gone into the brand awareness, and the kind of the brand equity, right? So for us in specific, we have 22 brands that we have live and running. Of the 22 brands, 15 are our own brands created in-house. 7 are licensed brands. Licensed brands include, there's one called 3 Coins, which is a Michelin 1-star restaurant. That for us was a significant milestone for us, mainly because we could do delivery for a Michelin 1-star restaurant kind of set the bar for us, right? Behind that is another one called Orchid. That's a Michelin plated restaurant. And then there's another one called Formosa Chang. This one's a 70-year history restaurant that has been in Taiwan for a long time. So there's definitely brand value. How you convey that brand value is important. The lasting power and the I guess the messaging of and the value that you're delivering and conveying is very important. You know, it's interesting. I think in brands in general, I keep alluding back to the e-commerce analog, right? Retail e-commerce analog. You know, there are back in e-commerce, and I guess the only reason I go back to this is because I've spent a lot of time in e-commerce, and I really feel like dark kitchens is following kind of the same path and the same methodology as e-commerce retail, right? So e-commerce retail, similar situations happening here in dark kitchens. First are coming up dark kitchens that are just non-brand, brand kind of ambiguous. Now there's dark kitchens that are brand specific. At some point in the future, maybe 5 years, there could be brands that are virtual that go backwards into the F&B space, brick and mortar space, and go backwards, just like Amazon was doing, delivery only, always pure play online, and then going backwards to stores, right? So this fluidity and omni-channel presence will become more and more prevalent, and I think will be something that I think all of us in the dark kitchen food and beverage space will be looking forward to in the next 5 years or so. I was just going to point that out as an example. Domino's, I mean, I think all across Asia, there's definitely a lot of franchising and a lot of brand recognition around the world, right? There's brands going back from North America to Asia, from Asia to within Asia, right? There's obviously many countries here, as well as back to North America, right? So, but there's definitely, I think those are probably, and Europe, those probably 4 geographies are the major geographies, being North America, Europe, and Asia, right? And then, and then other. But I think brand recognition is important. Brand success and translation across regions depends somewhat on the execution as well as the brand equity. It's probably the easiest way to put it, or brand awareness. I know for us here for us, our business model ultimately, this gets a little bit high level, but our long-term plan is to really double down on our brand portfolio as well as our technology. And this is soft technology, not hard technology, to enable the essentially dissemination of our brands across regions, our network of kitchens. So we have 15 kitchens here. We broke ground in Hong Kong and in the Philippines. We're planning on landing in the North America later this year. Ultimately, we see ourselves as tech-enabled brand platform, right? So we can go into kitchens, we can go into ghost kitchens, we can go into any infrastructure that's already built and really disseminate and deploy these brands virtually. So we're looking like, imagine franchising 2.0 for F&B, right? So Yum Brands, which does KFC and Pizza Hut, Focus Brands, which does Jamba Juice, Slotsky's, as well as Auntie Anne's, as well as a couple other brands. So the goal here is, how do we get these brands across geographies, across borders? How do we make sure technology-wise we enable that to go across regions and translate better across all the various regions?